YouTube, this is Michael Bell back again for TorrentPerformance, and we're wrapping up on this Mille, and one more shout out this week, Mr. Marquez from California. Thank you very much for ordering and using my number. That little bit of commish that I make is really helping me out on this channel. So you know, just to show you a little bit, I actually got some official Amsoil work glove, mechanic gloves, a little pricey. Tell you how much these cost. Amsoil has a thing where you can't mention how much you're paying for your oil or selling oil for, but these gloves were around $25, which I thought was a little steep. But they are some good quality gloves. So thank you very much, Mr. Marquez out of California. I appreciate it. Never been to California. Would really like to go there. And then I was able to actually, you always see me drinking coffee. I got an Amsoil cup, super sweet, gonna be good for the channel. And yeah, you know, today, oh, almost forgot. I bought a work shirt for these YouTube videos that I'm gonna be putting on, and yeah, I don't spend $45 on t-shirts. It's an actual Amsoil work shirt. It's pretty good quality, but the thing costs $45, and it's got buttons. I'm not a button type guy. Not only does it have buttons, but you actually have to tuck this shirt in. I'm not a tuck-in kind of guy, but I'm probably going to start wearing this thing in the shop because I'm destroying t-shirts out here doing these videos with the oil and whatnot, and I kind of want to be a little more presentable. So anybody that's bought anything from me, thank you very much. You're helping me get the clothing I need out here, but I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not impressed with a $45 button-up shirt. So yeah, I'm going to wear it, but I don't want to. So maybe I'll get attached to it, I don't know, but it will be put on with my next series. Don't have a pair of pants yet that I haven't figured that out. Might have to talk to a girl about getting that a little more fashionable. But anyway, today's video, I'm going to show you, I'm going to replace the velocity stacks in my Airbox. I need a little more top end out of that big V-twin. It really doesn't have a whole lot of top end. It's known for its load mid-range, and the SP model velocity stacks are significantly smaller than the Tuono or Mille stacks. So I've got the SP chip actually in the bike, and I've got the SP exhaust, and I went ahead and bought the SP velocity stacks. And I will tell you this, AF1 Racing down in Texas, they usually have this stuff in stock. These velocity stacks cost like $4.71. And after I installed them, I could immediately tell the difference. I've rode the bike since. I'm having some brake problems. That was brought up in the last video, and I've actually outsourced the brake work. That bike got sent up to the local Ducati shop. Thank you very much, Raymond, for towing that up there. They were going to charge me $100. Raymond up there at the Ducati shop actually brought the trailer home and put my bike on the trailer, so they didn't charge me $100. So thank you very much, Raymond. But hopefully they can get the brakes figured out, because I changed the lines on it and it's got so much air in it. I just don't have time to deal with it, and that's the last thing I need on this bike. So yeah, we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna show you about taking the Airbox apart and putting the velocity stacks in. The one thing, big thing is you know, to put that seal in there on that Airbox, you know, make sure you get a good seal. But yeah, and the camera, I'm having some camera issues. I'm filming these on my cell phone camera. I'm gonna get a bigger, maybe a DSLR, or I found a 41 megapixel off-brand kind of camera, not real sure. So hopefully once this series is done, then I'll have this camera thing figured out. I can only spend so much money. I've got other projects going on, and you know, once this bike's done, I went ahead and bought another bike, so there's going to be another project. So yeah, $45 shirt. A lot of people buy $45 shirts, really don't have money. Don't let them fool you that they're buying a $45 shirt because they ain't got no money, because they're buying $45 shirts. But thank you very much, and we'll get right into this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started into this. So, you know, as usual, we'll remove this seat cowl. Set this up here. I don't want to lose that. And then actually on this seat here, the last time I ordered from AF1 Racing, I got, they've got a quick pin kit for 16 bucks. So you don't have to bolt the seat on. And they've just got little cotter pins in there so you can remove your seat. Real simple. Then we'll get our prop rod ready for the gas tank. And I hadn't removed the bolts yet. There are two 8mm bolts. And those quick release pins for the seat will actually work for the gas tank as well. Just remove your bolts here. And then we'll prop the gas tank up. Yeah, basically, looking for a little more top end on this big V-twin. There's not a whole lot you can do. You can change the gearing around on the rear sprocket. A lot of times you change these gearing around, it's going to throw the speedometer off, and the bike's a little older, so they don't make like the plug-in pieces like the new bikes that you can correct the speedometer on them. And then you just prop this gas tank up. And I'm really getting tired of working out here at 11, 12 o'clock at night after work. You know, I don't have a whole lot of free time, but I got to get this bike on the road. And good thing about me fixing this bike is this bike's paid for. I actually got rid of my EBR 1190 SX to clear up some cash flow so I could do some other things. You know, this bike was a little older and I had it in storage, so it was in good shape. So, you know, part of these videos are getting this thing back up to normal. I'm hoping somebody else that's watching these videos can learn some stuff. And we'll just prop this up. And then we're going to get into the airbox. Now we will loosen all the bolts here that have the top of the airbox in, and there's 2, 4, 6. There's 7 bolts. There's one in the back. So these are 7mm, and it's kind of a pain to get all these out of here. So we'll probably fast forward through this. We have in here are the velocity stacks that you can switch out. They're really easy to switch out here, and you can see a little excess oil in this airbox. The way this engine's designed, if you overfill this oil, it'll puke it back into the airbox and get into the air cleaner, which isn't too big of a deal. I had one person say something to me one time that they caught that on fire, but I've never done it. So we'll get these velocity stacks pulled out of there. There are 4 Allen head 4 bolts connecting the airbox to the throttle bodies that you'll have to remove. Real easy to do, so we'll go ahead and do that. You also have two. These are 8 millimeters. Oh, gee, my goodness. We're just going to pull this off. Now, there's actually one other band clamp underneath that goes to your air boot. You can see it right there. The band clamp. And you'll want to get that removed. Now, you've got two other pieces holding this airbox on. I'm going to go ahead and remove it so I can show you the differences here. You'll actually see this airbox gasket. I had a small issue with, I changed this bike over to a K&N air filter, and I was starting to get popped back into the engine, the throttle body, where it was actually pulling air in, and I couldn't figure out why when I bought this bike that gasket was not on there. And when I ordered last time from AF1 Racing, I got an extra one of these. If you put this airbox back in, you need to have that gasket there. And what happened actually was it appeared when I put that K&N filter in that I actually cracked the top of the airbox lid just a little bit, and it was pulling air through the back of the box. So I'm not going to get in too much here. We'll get this tore apart, but I'll explain to you a little bit on why I'm not switching this bike over to the 57 millimeter throttle bodies. On this bike is almost flawless. And what they did was, you know, one of the best setups you can have is actually the standard airbox, unless you're on the racetrack, you want to go to an open. But, you know, I had a guy tell me it's, you know, from AF1 Racing, tell me to just stick with the normal airbox with the dual plug motor. So that's what we're going to do. That's what the professionals want to do. That's what I'm going to do. So we'll get this pulled off. The thing about this hose here is this hose might be hard. If your bike's old and never really been serviced, this hose might be a little tough to get off of there. And this one is extremely hard. And then you've got your rubber plug in here that's going to pull off the airbox. And this bottom plug, it might be nope, it come right off. It is so hard. But there you go. And make sure you don't lose these Allen head bolts. Okay, and now that the airbox is off, like I said about the gasket, if you actually look on this top of this airbox lid, you'll see the lip that will groove into the airbox, and that's why you need the seal there, is because when it goes down you need to press the seal. And when you're tightening these back up, what you want to do is you want to go through and get every single one of them, you know, basically seated in by hand, and then tighten them up as tight as you can. And I'll tell you what, I would start from this back one first and go back to front and then a star pattern, you know, so you get a good seal on there. But what we're going to do is we're going to change these velocity stacks to the shorter version. These are the SP velocity stacks, also bought at AF1 Racing, and they're supposed to give you a little more top end compared to those are the standard melee ones. And I think the Tuonos, or a little bit taller than that, but I'm on a little more top end, so we'll get these changed out. And to do this, you've just got 4 screws holding these plastic pieces in. So we'll get those removed here. Make sure when you're removing these that you get the right Phillips head screwdriver. A lot of people just think that there's one type of Phillips head screwdriver. Well, there's not. There's about 4 to fit other screws. If you've ever had somebody that just strips Phillips head screwdrivers, it's because they have the wrong Phillips head screwdriver going into the Phillips head. So we'll just remove these, and then they will pull out of the top. Just like that. Open, there is a gasket down there. I didn't know that. Okay, I did not buy those to do this. There's actually, the gasket goes on the bottom side here. Usually what I would do is, when I was going to do this, I would have these gaskets, but they're not damaged. We'll reuse those. A lot of oil on them. Make sure that you get these gaskets seated in there before you put the screws in. And as you're screwing this velocity stack, it's going to pull it down. Just get it tight and then go back and pull it real tight. And be careful not to over tighten these. These are plastic. And when you put them in, you're going to have the flat part because the 2 stacks are going to face each other like that, where they're actually cut for that. So, want them to stay the same there. Okay, there we go. Before we reinstall this Airbox, I do want to tell you that on a lot of these models, the earlier models had these big mouth for the Airbox. In the newer ones, I think 2002, 2003 Milles, they restricted them. It's kind of for longevity, I think, and dependability of the motor. But if you're wanting to pull a little more power out of them, you can change this air boot on your later model Milles. So you need to get on the Aprilia forum and figure out which one you've got. But this is actually the big mouth one, and you can change all these out. And then you had the Edwards edition race version that had bigger air ducts as well. So there's some things that you can do with these. I'm not wanting to get too extreme here. This is a good running bike, and I plan on driving this every day to work. And I needed a little more top end for on the freeway. So yeah, we'll get this Airbox put back on now. Okay, now that we've got our 2, 4, 6, your 6 screws on your velocity stacks put back on, put your Airbox rubber piece in here for your seal of your top box, and then put your air filter in. And then we'll just reinstall the top of the box like we did, like we took it apart. Okay, got the Airbox back on. You just want to put these bolts in kind of a crisscross pattern and make sure that that back bolt is secure in there. You can actually lift your tank up a little bit to make sure that's secure. Sometimes those back end of those top Airboxes are cracked, and like I said before, that's where I was getting air sucked in, but we'll see if this thing will start here. I haven't started it for a while. Make sure that if you remove the whole Airbox, that your throttle cables are not binding up with, there's a clip there. I might have to raise the throttle a little bit. It's got a little hesitation in it.
You can actually hear it when I hit the gas. Hear it? It's sucking more air in now. I don't even have the throttle set at 600, so we'll raise the throttle up.